The same $750,000, way more house. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down what the homes look like in the $750,000 price range in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. We'll take a look at 4 different styles of home in 4 different areas of the county. We'll then break down that monthly payment to see what your payment's going to look like at 3, 10, and 20% down. And then finally, we'll see how much cash are you actually going to need to purchase it. The good news is $750,000 goes an awful long way in Lancaster. Let's get started. Property number 1 is on Wexford Drive in Lancaster. It's only a stone's throw away from the downtown area and was sold recently for $775,000. Built in the late 80s, it has undergone renovations in the last few years. And what's nice about this one is that it doesn't have an HOA. So you're getting the benefits of something that's been recently updated without an HOA. A lot of new construction communities post 2005 are going to have some kind of homeowners association. So that's just something to be mindful of when going through your home search. As soon as you get into this price range, you're getting a lot more for your money. So square footage rise, we've got 4,000 square feet, including the basement space. You're going to have very good level of finish, and you're probably going to have a little bit more land or be in one of those more desirable areas. One of my favorite things about this property is the vaulted loft space. So you can have it as a bit of a reading area, but then you can also look down over the main living room also. Unlike what you'll find in the $500,000 price range, in the bathrooms, you're probably getting tile. Those old horrible jet tubs tend to be gone, and you're just going to get a much nicer level of finish. Additionally, you get a pool, and I know a pool is not for everyone, and I wouldn't say that it necessarily adds value to the property. However, if you are interested in having a property with a pool, you're more likely to get those kind of amenities. So for this kind of money, you're in a nice suburban neighborhood, you've got yourself a pool, you've got a decent amount of land, and you've got good level of recently updated finishes. Now, one of the biggest things that is going to fluctuate in this price point is going to be your taxes. Property taxes on this are $8,000 a year. Now, what I would say is that actually is pretty reasonable for this price point of home. New constructions are going to run way higher than that, but we'll go through that a little bit later on. Property number 2. This property in downtown Lancaster sold recently for $741,000. It is a 8-bedroom, 3.5 bathroom property over nearly 5,000 square feet. So that's an awful lot of square footage for your money. This is located at one of the prime streets on the way into Lancaster. So you're about a 10-minute drive away from Park City, but you're also 5 or 10 minutes drive down to where Central Market and the Fulton Theatre are. Now, this property was on the market for a long time. Originally, they just overkilled the price. I think it was on for like $900,000. It does need a little bit of updating. But what I would say is for this size of home with the lot that you have in Lancaster on such an iconic street, even if you have to spend $150,000, $200,000 renovating it, it's probably going to be a pretty good buy. The fact that you have so many bedrooms and so much square footage, and you have this size garden with a detached garage in the city of Lancaster is pretty crazy to me. Now, one of the drawbacks that I mentioned earlier is going to be the taxes. So $15,000 a year. And again, that's probably actually relatively reasonable for a city home of this price. But $15,000 a year taxes is a lot of money, especially if you think you're going to have to spend quite a bit renovating it as well. Moving a little bit more out towards the countryside. So on 3 acres, we have this cute little kind of Cape Cod, cottagey type vibe. It's 3,600 square feet, 2.5 bathrooms, 4 bedrooms, and it also includes a pool. On the inside, we've got a great level of finish. It's got a real cute kind of Cotswold cottage vibe. Makes me feel like I'm back in England. You've got this great kitchen area. You've got this great kitchen area, tons of cabinet space. You've got the farmhouse sink as well. You have this great kind of cathedral ceiling living area. The difference between like the $600,000 price range and now up towards $750,000, you're getting way more land. You're in better area. You're getting this really nice level of finishes. So you just get a lot more for your money because fewer people can afford to be in that price point. And this is one of the main selling points also. You've got this outdoor bar area by the pool. You're also pretty secluded here, so if you're raising a family or throwing a party, you can enjoy the pool and all of your various things without having to be disturbed by the neighbors. Property taxes, again, we're back at around the $8,000 number. Realistically, your taxes are going to be between $8,000 up to that $15,000. They could potentially be a little bit higher if you've got a brand new construction, but I think you should be in pretty good shape budgeting for around 8 to 12. And then finally, I'm showing you a new construction option. So this is a property from Keystone Homes. It's the Hawthorne plan. They have lots of different versions of it, and you can basically start at this number here, about $717,000. And then the sky is the limit. I recently had a client who purchased one. She got about every single upgrade you could get, and she's up to about 1.2 million right now. But I just thought I would let you know that for $750,000, there are plenty of new construction options for you. I'll do a future video on different types of new construction and builders in the Lancaster area and the various pros and cons of using them. Keystone is one that they do a good product. However, it can be quite expensive. So literally everything you want is going to be an add-on. So although this one says 717,000, by the time you're done, you're probably going to be near 800 to 900,000 when you've gone through all your options. The other thing, like I also mentioned, taxes are going to be far higher. So I'd estimate taxes are going to be up around 15,000 for a property like this. And obviously, the more options you go for, the more expensive it's going to be. Now let's take a look at the monthly payments. So regardless if you're buying a farm, something with character, or maybe even a brand new construction, let's take a look at those numbers. To keep things simple, I'm going to break it down. We're looking at $750,000. We're starting off with a 20% down conventional loan, and we're going to use the national average. Typically, we're finding interest rates right now are in that sort of low to mid sixes. If your credit's poor, you might be up near a 7, but let's use this national average of 6.65. Purchase price is going to be $750,000. Down payment starting with 20% down, assuming you've got good credit over 30 years. Property taxes, I'm going to set them at $900 a month, so that's around about $11,000 a year. And homeowners insurance, because these properties tend to have things like pools or they tend to be a little bit bigger, it tends to be a little bit more expensive. So I'm going to say $175 a month, should be somewhere between $1,500, maybe as high as $2,500 if you have something like a pool. You may also have an HOA, but again, I'm going to leave this blank for now, just knowing that some communities can have quite expensive ones, but let's just leave it blank for this one. So using this scenario, your monthly payment is going to start at around $4,900. That's $3,800 for principal and interest, $900 for property taxes, and about $175 for insurance. If you're putting 10% down, your payment's going to jump to around $5,600. So we've got more money that we're borrowing. So principal and interest is $4,300, property tax is still $900, homeowners insurance. And then the additional thing for this is because we're putting less than 20% down, we will have some mortgage insurance. So I budgeted for around $175 a month, but this will depend on your credit score. And then finally, the minimum amount you can put down is around 3%. If you're a doctor or a physician, you might be able to get away with putting 0% down, but the payment is going to be very similar. So again, we have an increase in our principal and interest, property tax is the same, homeowners the same. The mortgage insurance will typically be a bit higher because they'll see you as a higher risk. So again, just increasing that slightly. You're looking at just under $6,000 a month. Now, obviously, if you're putting more money down, it can be less than this, but I just thought I'd give you a good range at 20%, 10%, and 3%. Finally, let's break down those closing costs to see exactly how much cash you need to buy one of these homes. So for the purpose of this, I'm going to use Wexford Drive as the example. I'm going to reduce that purchase price down to $750,000, annual taxes of $8,600, interest rate about 6.5%, and starting off with a 20% conventional loan. What I've also tried to do is I've tried to add in a few of those other fees that you will have. For example, if you have to make up some buyer agent commission, there are also transfer tax in Pennsylvania, which is 1% buyer, 1% seller typically. I've also included some mortgage origination fees and some mortgage discount points. These are some fees that you can have depending on the lender, depending on your credit score. Basically, they're just a whole bunch of fees that the bank is going to charge you in order to purchase the home. So I'm adding in a bunch of those, and hopefully this would be a worst case scenario. So taking the $750,000 price, 6.5% interest, closing at the end of August 2026, 20% down, you're looking at a cash to close of around $182,000. Your mortgage amount is going to be $600,000, and then your payment is going to be $4,681 a month. Again, this is a rough ballpark, but it's pretty similar to the numbers that we went through a moment ago. Now, let's say you're putting 10% down, same scenario, your cash to close is going to drop to $110,000. Your payment is going to jump up to $5,300. This is because you have the addition of that mortgage insurance and you're borrowing more money. And finally, with 3% down or very close to 0% down, your cash to close is going to be $58,000 and your monthly payment is going to come in at $5,712 a month. Now, something to bear in mind is when you get up to this price point, especially if you're looking at borrowing more money, you may not be able to qualify using the standard mortgages available to most people. There are limits on conventional loans and FHA loans. So do speak with your lender to see, A, can you qualify for it? So speak to your lender to see if, A, do you even qualify for that much money? B, if I qualify for that amount, am I even going to be able to use one of those more conventional types of financing? If you're a doctor or a physician, typically you're able to get different types of loans, which enable you to put less money down, borrow more money at a lower rate of interest because they see you as having a stable job. And then if you're not a doctor or a physician, then you may have to use something called a jumbo loan, which is going to have a higher interest rate. If you're interested in learning more about those doctors and physicians loans, I'll put a link in the description below or a card here so you can take a look. And if you are looking also at learning about those bigger loans, so the jumbo loans, then there'll also be a link here. And basically, if you're looking at purchasing a property for $750,000 or in that range in Lancaster County, there are going to be tons of options for you. And if you are wondering, you know what, 750,000 is probably a little bit more than I'm looking to spend, then click this video here where I show you what $600,000 gets for your budget, where we go a similar process. And if you are thinking about stretching that budget a little bit more and looking for financing options beyond what we've just covered, then click this video here where I talk about doctors, physicians, and jumbo loans.